Cinematalkraphy.
Welcome to Cinematography. I'm your host, Roberto Vegas, joined by this guy. This guy right here.
The guy who has two thumbs and is co-hosting the show.
The guy who wasn't alive when the events of this show happened.
Nope.
I, however, was approaching a year old.
Stranger Things.
Yes, Stranger Things. We're talking about Stranger Things finally.
It's the show.
This will be filled with spoilers. Stranger Things, of course, is the latest Netflix show.
Everybody's talking about it.
Everybody's
talking about it. Oh, Stranger Things, Stranger Things, Stranger Things.
Everyone got wise just before me, and I am very late to the game on watching it.
Right, yeah, I watched it like a month ago. The day it came out, I watched through all of it.
I somehow avoided everything on it. Before we go into it, I want to ask you, you've seen Super 8, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really a heck of a whole lot enjoy it because I mean, it was pitched as this is the new Goonies. This is how a Spielberg film should be done. But I always never liked the film. I always hated like this weird thing. I was like, well, I guess this is a movie from the of the 80s and trying to be that thing.
I really liked it.
Yeah, right. I was the monster I just didn't like. This is what Super 8 probably should have been and far better done. I really dug it, even though it's in my not so favorite part of the 80s. This is set in that period where we're still seeing a lot of the 70s influence. We're just kind of barely getting to the 80s. The end of the series, last episode, they're mentioning like, well, I know what Atari 2600, kind of looks, Atari looks like, not even the 2600, but you have a lot of faux wood. You have a lot of very 80s aesthetics that are just, I've always felt they're kind of garbagey. But there's not like there's really no any arcades kind of mentioned except sort of passing. The most thing they reference is like Risky Business. So it's always for me, it felt like that weird, awkward time of the 80s. They didn't cleanly define that in a kind of stereotypical way. I almost want to cover the things I didn't like before I cover things I liked.
Okay.
I didn't quite like that we had almost a stereotypical 80s villain. Not the monster per se. The monster is, cool. And as designs go, I think this is the best way you could have presented kind of some weird alien thing. But I didn't necessarily like the fact that we kind of defaulted to the government's the enemy. We're fighting the Cold War against the Russians as sort of the backdrop for all these sort of weird sciencey things that would then come and affect our main cast of characters. And I was like, I kind of wish we didn't have that, but I don't fault it, but it just felt a little too on the nose.
Sure, I mean...
Maybe I'm nitpicking, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really have any real issue with that. The Russian threat is mentioned once, maybe twice, in the whole series, and at least having the main opposition outside of the Demogorgon being the government, so to speak, you can feasibly go, oh, of course there's this big cover-up, and they go to extreme lengths for this cover-up, whereas if it were like just some guy or something, then that is a bit less feasible.
Well, I mean, I like the fact that it gave at least a reason to start involving the other teams. You had these kids. You had Mike, Will, Lucas, and Dustin kind of playing a D&D-esque game. But I liked that though they were our main kind of leads, that because you could have all these other kind of forces happening, like you mentioned, the government kind of cover-up and Hawking's lab and all that stuff, that you start to be able to have the teams approach it from different angles. If you have the cop and Winona Ryder's character approach it from like what's this government conspiracy? How does this work out to it? And then you have Winona Ryder's like, my boy is still out there and I'm talking to him beyond the veil. And then you have, Mike and team and 11 coming in. And it's just like, we're gonna go save Will, defeat the Demogorgon, not knowing all the shit that's gonna go down, and then at the end of the whole season, all of them kind of teaming up and meeting together, each of them knowing what's going on and never being completely lost in the situation. I thought that was a good touch because I always hate when they have the you wouldn't believe me, kid, and it's just like, try me, and then it's like, oh, they actually do know. Although they do wisely keep certain characters in the dark. Like I like how they kept Mike's parents in the dark. Because you have the father at one point saying, why would our government hurt us?
Honey, we have to trust them, okay? This is our government. They're on our side.
And it's just, again, it's such a small thing, but it's just like, I get why they did it.
But yeah, I feel like they did a pretty good job of like, Winona Ryder's character and her son, they are effectively on different teams.
Yeah.
And they have their own experiences that are very unlike each other. Yeah, it's not really till the end until they really like understand where all of them are coming from.
There's a lot going on, you know, especially kicking it off because you have, you know, this very, you know, sleepy suburban area in 1983. You know, you have nothing, a whole weird stuff go. You know, you then have weird stuff happen. But the weird stuff happens because there happens to be a laboratory that's out there in the middle of the woods that no one quite knows was out in the middle of the woods. But I am really glad that was the backdrop for everything, because I think what I enjoyed the most of the series, besides a lot of the aesthetics, I really enjoyed that at the heart of the story is sort of Mike and Eleven. Every one of those characters in some form or fashion is weird. It's strange in that you have like Ryder, who's like, even she admits like, maybe I am losing my mind, maybe I am crazy, but you know that. Then you have Will, who is, you know, and they're all kind of, you know, dorks and geeks, but he's also into like, his brother's in the Clash and getting him into all this kind of weird, you know, post-punk music. And then you even have Steven, you know, have all these characters because I think that was what was interesting, is seeing all these characters embracing their weirdness and sort of uniqueness of it, or changing.
It's Lucas. I know it's you. And say over when you're done talking so I know when you're done. Over. I'm done. Over.
Who was your favorite character in the series?
Probably the police chief dude.
Okay.
He did a really good job of transforming from a character of a small town where like nothing significant happens.
Yeah, because our introduction to him is him like he wakes up on the couch and he's literally like taking some pills, you know, drinking a beer.
And then transforming to like, oh, this is a serious thing, I need to give it my all, and then like recontextualizing his character with understanding where he's coming from, and oh, he's experienced some sort of similar stuff. And of course, I'm a sucker for like detective stuff and like going around figuring things out.
Well, that was one thing I liked too, was that he became the de facto detective, and I like the fact that they gave that the writers, you know, did that, because I think, you know, typically they would have just, you know, factored him out, and we would never have heard. The sheriff is typically like, well, those kids happened, and this is happening, weird stuff's going down, I don't know.
Or if anything, he'd be like not the big force of opposition, but like a minor obstacle that you would overcome.
Right,
in 3 or 4 episodes.
Right, and then the monsters appears when that happens. It's like, see, we weren't lying. For me, I think I have 2. It's definitely Mike and Eleven. I enjoyed Mike a lot. I can relate to that kind of character, sort of being weird and awkward at that age of 13 in general, and being this weird dorky kid that's far more interested in sciences and D&D and geeky things like that.
Sure, and real quick, honorable mention to the teacher.
Yes.
So you know how in Cosmos, Carl Sagan talks about other dimensions, like beyond our world?
Yeah, sure, theoretically.
Right, theoretically. So theoretically, how do we travel there?
You guys have been thinking about Hugh Everett's many worlds interpretation, haven't you?
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about.
Oh.
He's really great.
Well, because we were talking about this, like, before this, we kind of reviewed a little bit of the series. We come to the point where one of my favorite scenes, where Dustin calls and says,
Hello?
I have a science question.
It's 10 o'clock on Saturday. Why don't we pick this
Do you
up
know
on...
anything about sensory deprivation tanks? Specifically how to build one?
Sensory deprivation? What is this for?
Fun.
Fun. And he's like, Dustin, it's Saturday, why are you calling? And he's there with his lady friend, and he has to deal with these kids who are asking all these like hardcore science questions, because they're like, all right, fine, here are the things you would need to make a sensory deprivation chamber. But yeah, Mike and Eleven for sure for me. I enjoyed Eleven as a character, because again, you start off with this like silent, mute kind of person. Not only does she become more than what she is and understands kind of who she is as a person, but I love the bond that those two had together. You know, that, because again, Eleven kind of grew up not being able to be a kid, and that now that it comes, you know, friends don't lie, and then you're like, now, you know, not only have you made a very important friend, but now you've made a party of friends.
Yeah, that's right! You better run! She's our friend and she's crazy!
And now you have an ensemble that goes on adventures together like kids are supposed to, and now you're, you know, this is the party, and we're gonna go fight the evil Demigorgon. We should talk about the monster, by the way.
Okay.
I loved the design of the monster. I've always been a fan of the kind of faceless giant mouth kind of creatures in general. Just like this weird, just monster coming out at you and just sucking whatever life force is in you. I like that the monster was like, that looks fucked up. That looks crazy. What was your thought on the design of it?
I feel like it did a good job of being like somewhat horrifying and also somewhat unassuming. Like I didn't have a ton of opinions about the monster coming out of it, but I kind of like that about it. It just sort of didn't ask too much from me.
And I think that because ultimately what I liked about it is that they never quite explained what it is. Because they kind of give an idea that here's 11, she has kind of psychic powers, and things are happening because of that. But then here's this weird alternate area that's somehow gets birthed either through that or has always existed, and this thing is there, and now it's coming into our world, and it's never really quite analyzed, even though it's apparent that the guys at Hawking's lab know about this.
It's kind of funny. Lately I've been playing Doom.
Yes.
And it actually reminds me a lot of Doom of like, oh, we were just trying to harness this hell energy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then all of a sudden a demon popped through.
Right, exactly. No, that's exactly what went through my mind too. When I saw it, I was like, oh, science is fucking around with stuff. This is where I had the issues, just because like this is so fucking stereotypical. But again, where it deviated, I liked it a lot and stuff. But yeah, they never really quite explained the monster. I assume that if they have a season 2, they'll go into more detail on that. But that being said, typically when you have the monster in these sort of things, they don't really show it off a whole lot. But they showed off their monster as much as they could.
Sure.
And I like you, it was very unassuming, but I liked that the design didn't try to add anything of like it didn't add a horn or some crazy demon eyes or whatever. It's just this very weird looking. Because again, you can see the Demogorgon in terms of the fiction of it, all these kind of tentacles and shit like that in the model. But I like the fact that it just is like very simple, effective, because it's still fucking creepy. No eyes and just giant mouth that just drips acid, almost alien-like.
Yeah, and for me, what was even more effective than the monster was just the idea of the realm that the monster exists in.
Yeah.
Like the idea of sort of this like warped, mutated mirror world.
That too I enjoyed. I didn't know, like when Will got attacked by the thing and he disappeared, I was like, oh well, he's dead, he's gone, and then they show the body and I'm like, oh no. And I was like, well, I guess that's it. That's been interesting. Who knows what'll happen? I guess there'll be other cycles to this. And then when they sort of revealed the idea of this parallel world, I liked that they did that approach because it, again, added more to it. It added more of a mystery to this beyond the idea of, here's a girl with psychic abilities, we're gonna use her to assassinate Russians. There's forces at play that we don't quite know about. And I liked that they added those things because that, to me, made it far more fascinating with sort of this combination of stuff. By having this, by having the monster, and having all these teams kind of approaching the same problem, but from different angles and having different pieces of the puzzle together to do it. I like that a lot. Like I dug it enough that the adults had I guess the important, I say not important task, but the deeper task of like analyzing all this crap. And then you had the kids kind of dealing with what the kids tend to have, the monster film, and fight with that.
Oh, well, the parents are off and doing taxes and writing up the paperwork at this
right.
Damn Demogorgon invasion. And
well, because ultimately, for a good chunk of the series, I mean, we almost follow a lot of stereotypical beats of 80s movies. Like we had the point where you have the sister who meets the popular guy and who she's like kind of the nerdy chick, because at one point Dustin mentions that your sister was cool. She one time dressed up for our campaign as an elf girl. I was like, that sounds about right. Like she's kind of dorky and she has her dorky friend, Barb. And I was following those beats for so long that I was like, what's gonna happen with these characters? When it gets revealed how the sister and Jonathan kind of hook up and do their mission, I enjoyed that. I also enjoyed Steve too. Like I think what I liked a lot is that they had these stereotypes of characters, and then they said, well, what if they were real people? Maybe this would have been awesome. Imagine this. His story would have been the stereotypical like 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink movie, and then he'd get to the point where it's like, I want to make this right. I want to apologize. Oh, what happened to your hand? What's with that night? What's the hell that bat with nails doing on? Why are the lights flickering? Oh my God! That would be an amazing movie. We should probably talk one last thing that I'm curious on, in your opinion. And that, of course, is the soundtrack. I think I dug the soundtrack more than I dug the actual series. At one point, we're talking about it off camera, and I'd mentioned, like, while hearing it again, I was like, sounds like we should be hacking more. There should be more stuff like that. I think you pointed out that's what I say about everything. There should be more hacking everywhere. If it weren't in the series, like just hearing them, like this doesn't sound like it goes here. I mean, but it goes there. Like we watch the show and it's perfect and it's everything that. But you hear it outside of it, you're like, why are we having all this like neo-noir crap happening here? This doesn't seem right. And yet it does.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I got a synthesizer app after I watched the show.
Really?
And that was mostly for a scam school thing. And then I realized, oh, the synthesizers are really hard.
Yeah.
They're cool, but they're hard to do anything with. I listened to the soundtrack the other day by itself, and I really like it, but I don't have like a ton to say about it.
Well, because I wouldn't normally either, but this was one strange one because again, I kept myself so sort of quartered off from it. I had thought, oh, people are talking about this because it's an 80s, it's a good 80s music collection. It's like, GTA Vice City or whatever. It's a good organization of music that had a great licensed soundtrack. Cool. Not even considering, not even thinking about the idea that, oh no, they made this really John Carpenter sounding synth. Like there's certain moments I'm hearing the soundtrack, I go like, man, this could be playing like Big Trouble in Little China at certain points. And like, or you could hear this in a Blade Runner kind of movie or something like that. And it's just weird to hear that and to click in, because you had told me when I mentioned that to you, you're like, oh, you'll know, like you'll know what I'm talking about, because you mentioned synth. I was like, huh, okay, I'll keep that in mind. But it's just like, wow. I will typically skip over intro scenes sometimes, like after I've watched it about a billion times.
Sure.
For shows, I did not skip over any time that theme came on.
Yeah, I mean the title sequence is probably my single favorite moment of the show. It was really well put together.
No, yeah, it was.
And one last note about the show before we wrap up is a lot of times shows like this end up really disappointing me because they spend a lot of time building up and alluding to like really cool things, and then I feel like they don't go all the way with the idea. Whereas Stranger Things did a really good job of like delivering on the promise of like a weird supernatural, extra dimensional sort of thing. It really endeared itself to me just through doing that.
That's one thing I like too, is that a lot of things paid off. And there's still mystery, there's still intrigue, which is totally fine. I mean, it ends on a weird cliffhanger, but a lot of things it paid off. A lot of things it kind of explained, or where it really didn't explain, it didn't quite need to keep the story going. It didn't slow down to like have the expository episode where it's like, all right, we're now gonna explain every little thing to you. Because even when it explained the idea of the upside down, it was very visual.
I don't understand. Hiding? From who?
But where it started putting the facts in, or started trying to reveal things, especially with the Hawking's lab and the conspiracy, therefore, and that, like there's a scene where it almost felt a little too intense, was the microfiche scene, where it's just like, all right, time to do some research at the library. They just gave enough quick glances of like, yep, there's a conspiracy. I dug that they just gave just enough to pay everything off and to make you still be weirded out and freaked out, but not enough to where it slowed things down. So if you haven't watched Stranger Things and you watch this anyways, go watch it. It's on Netflix, it's worth it. Brant, if people want to tell you that they either loved or hated Stranger Things, and they said your opinion's terrible or your opinion's right on the money, how could they reach you?
Well, I mean, if you want to do that, just leave it in the comments below and I'll see it. But if you want to talk to me about anything else or see what I'm up to, twitter.com/Gatowag, GATOWAG. There you go.
Why do I feel there was more? Why do I feel there should have been more there? Of course, you can find me. I'm at Vincent404 on Twitters. If you want to talk to both of us, either A, leave a comment below here, and of course hit the subscribe button, or hit us up on Twitter at Cinematalkraphy. So that's it. Tune in next time, where we'll talk about other 80s films. We're gonna, in fact, go all 80s all the time. We're gonna start with Bloodsport. We're gonna go to First Blood. We're gonna go then to Big Trouble in China. Then we're gonna go to
Hey.
Hey.
Why don't we catch a movie? Just kind of pretend everything's normal for a few hours.
I don't think I can. I really, seriously, I have to go.
So I'll be over around 8.
Are you crazy?
I'm stealthy, like a ninja.
Was it one time? Oh, Steve! Oh, Steve! You were saying? 2-time thing. No parents, big house.
So are you in?
Party?
Hello, ladies.
So, I told Mr. Mundy the solution of 10 plus y equals below me.
You are a cliche, you do realize.
Okay. Party girl, why don't you just show us how it's done then?
Oh! What is wrong with you?
Shut up. Because she's not miserable like you two. She actually cares about other people.
Look, I don't know what you think you saw, but it wasn't like that.
Yeah, you're so cute when you lie.
Are you serious right now?
You don't understand. My dad's a grade A asshole.
I have a terrible feeling about this.
She was acting weird. I mean, something's wrong. Whoa, hey, whoa.
I just don't understand why we're coming out here. She obviously doesn't want to talk to you.
That's not it.
Steve, listen to me. You need to leave.
No, I'm not trying to start anything, okay?
I don't care about it. You need to leave.
No, listen, I messed up, okay? I messed up. Okay? Really, please. I just want to make things right. Please. Hey, what happened to your hand? Is that blood?
Oh, nothing. No, it was an accident.
Wait, what's going on?
Nothing.
Wait a second, did he do this?
No. No.
Let me in.
No, Steve!
What is it? What the?
Get out of here.
What is it?
Listen to me, I'm not asking you, I'm
What does that
telling
smell?
you. Get out of here.
Gasoline?
Steve,
Whoa.
get out!
Wait, what? What is going on?
You have 5 seconds to get out of here.
Okay, it's a joke. Stop. Put the gun
doing
down.
this for you.
Hold on. What is it?
Nancy.
No.
Nancy.
No.